Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. I hope you guys are all doing very well. In this video, we're going to be talking about how West Ham became great again. I've been following West Ham and doing pieces on them for about 4 or 5 years. And apart from that first season where we said goodbye to the Bowling Ground and they moved to London Stadium, it's been a difficult film to make each time. Basically, around February, March, every single season, West Ham would be in turmoil. I would go to the London Stadium. I would talk to Nikki from West Ham Fan TV, and we would get an update on the mess, on the shambles that was West Ham. I think epitomised by that 3-0 defeat back in 2018, the 10th of the 3rd, 2018, when they lost 3-0 to Burnley, and that picture of Mark Noble, Mr. West Ham, having to confront one of his own West Ham fans, not because he disagreed with him, but because it had gone too far. David Moyes has done something that is remarkable in how unremarkable it is. He's turned those players, a lot of whom played in that game against Burnley, the likes of Cresswell, Antonio, Lanzini, Ogbonna, and turned it into a team that is now fighting to be in the Champions League. And this is how they've done it. Just to say before we get into this incredible turnaround at West Ham United, if you do enjoy this video, we've also done one on Aston Villa and how they've turned things around. But if you enjoy the content here, then please do take a second and subscribe to the channel. We are moving towards 80k and I can't do it. I literally can't do it. So all I can ask is that you can move that mouse for a second and click the subscribe button. Hit the like button as well if you enjoy this video, especially if you're a West Ham fan. Let's talk about David Moyes first and foremost, because David Moyes just deserves so much credit with this. In his first 8 games, 1 win in 8 league matches, to the turnaround that you've seen this season. A points per game that's gone from 1.3 to this season 1.8. 2 points per game, and you're pretty much there in terms of Champions League football. And that is why they are exactly where they are, knocking on the door of Champions League football. The big thing for me is that it sounds so basic with David Moyes. It really does. And I don't think there's only truisms that you can touch on with him, because that's what he's about. He's about making you harder to break down on one end and making you a little bit more efficient down the other end. And that's highlighted in the goals per games this season, because last season, they've gone from 1.29 goals per game in terms of scoring goals and conceding 1.63 per game to scoring 1.56 goals per game and only conceding 1.16. To flip around these metrics in one season with so many players that were playing in the season before highlights only one thing: really, really good coaching. Of course, there are some elements that need to come in, and the likes of Soucek, don't worry, we'll be talking about him very, very soon. And some of the other elements of recruitment have been very, very important. And a new understanding of what kind of players West Ham should be going for is a big thing that's moved them forward. Because in the past, you had the likes of Arnautovic, players that did only one thing. You've now got an incredible team there, and a team of players that will do the extra miles. The likes of Bowen, the likes of Antonio, the likes of Soucek, the likes of Declan Rice, the likes of Kufal. All of these players are players that can do more than one thing. And what David Moyes has done so brilliantly is that he's been able to bring in some of these players on a shoestring budget, but he's brought in players that aren't thinking that they're too good for West Ham. They're bringing in players that want to grow with West Ham, and that's a very different thing. For David Moyes to focus on the person instead of the player is something that West Ham haven't done. As I've said, they've been far too attracted to shiny things for far too long, but now they're concentrating on the substance of the players that they have in this team. Very few superstars in this team these days, but players that are hungry and desperate to do well, and desperate for West Ham to do well, and aren't looking too far ahead at the next move. They're concentrating on the here and now. So let's have a look on the pitch now, and starting at the back, let's start with Fabianski, because the goalkeeping situation, I think you've got to remember sometimes in football that there is an element of bad luck in things, and Fabianski's been a cracking keeper full stop in the Premier League, but in particular for obviously Swansea and then West Ham as well. And so to not have him for a lot of last season was clearly a problem. You could see with the replacements that came in, they weren't anywhere near good enough. And so Fabianski coming back in after that injury-ridden season where they haven't got to deal with calamitous number 2s and number 3s, His save percentage is 68.4%, which is fine, which is average, which is okay. But I think it's the lack of errors is one thing, but he helps assure the back four. That's a starting point that I know David Moyes will want from this. And there's going to be so many moments where you can refer to him at Everton and the success there and kind of plant it in this West Ham team. And I know West Ham fans won't enjoy that, but that's a good thing, because look where he took Everton. There were elements and principles in place that are in place in this team, and a good goalkeeper at the start of it, safe hands at the back there. You think of Nigel Martin for Everton back in the day, Tim Howard as well. The same goes with Fabianski. Been there, done it. I think also a little interesting one is that his average of his kicks are 57.6 yards, which is really far for a goalkeeper. So those high long balls, be it on almost like a counter-attack for Antonio, but also utilising Soucek as well, has been very useful for West Ham. But that would be me diving into the stats almost a little bit too much. The clear focus here is that he brings a presence and an assuredness to a back four that's massively, massively needed it. I think that was one of the initial things that I saw a difference in. There wasn't that kind of solidity there, and that has been the real basis for this West Ham revival. The likes of Koufal, who you've bought for 5 million quid, a player that hadn't come out of the Czech Republic. His consistency, his energy, his ability to defend one-on-ones, which allows the front players to have a bit more of a go, but also just most importantly create that massive base for West Ham. He's been absolutely unbelievable. 5 million quid. That's money that changes hands for an average striker in the Championship. He's averaging 2.76 tackles per 90, 4 clearances per 90, which I think is the most important stat, really, is that he does offer that security there. I think you saw that in the Spurs game recently. Harry Kane gets the ball, turns, tries to make that pass. Who's there? Koufal, ready to read it. Very intelligent defender, probably a defender first. That said, 1.31 key passes per game shows how good his all-round game is as well. Moving into defence and the centre-backs, Dawson is, again, one of those players. If you think of maybe like a David Weir. David Weir just kept having years and years at Everton because he was solid and he made good choices. Dawson is a player that's done that, and he's brought the best out of the players around him. He's yet to make a mistake that's led to an opponent's shot this season. Let me say that again. He's yet to make a mistake that leads to an opponent's shot this season. That highlights the whole system there, but it also highlights what he's doing as well. His tackles interceptions per 90 are 2.3. Him and Ogbonna have been a really great partnership. You know how good he is going forward as well. So he's great in both boxes, which has been a huge part of West Ham this season. The size and the physicality of this team, it just adds an extra layer to the team in terms of their stability at one end, but also the ability to score goals down the other end. Alongside him, you've seen the best of Ogbonna. I think as a partnership, they look really great together. The fact that Ogbonna's left-footed, but also I think with Ogbonna, you forget just the pedigree of this player. Coming from Juventus, he's a cracking player, really, really good player. And it was actually one of the better players for West Ham last season when I was watching them. His short passes this season, 88% pass success rate, which is really strong. 90.1% in his medium range passing success as well. So on that left hand side, him being able to kind of get counter-attacks moving has been very, very useful. Bringing in someone like Dawson to be that calm, smart player alongside Ogbonna has finally given Ogbonna a partner that he can rely on, because Ogbonna has been decent for a while. Cresswell on the other side is a first of many players who offer two things. Players that are going to offer either assists or goals, but also be solid players moving forward. 6 assists this season, 1.6 key passes per 90. So when you consider Koufal at 1.3, him at Cresswell at 1.6 passes per 90, that means that West Ham are now offering 3 key passes per game coming from their fullbacks. So that's what it's about. I'm going to keep reiterating and banging this drum. It's because it's what makes this team remarkable, is everyone's doing their bit. Everyone's providing output. Moving into midfield, and you see the hallmarks of everything that's great about David Moyes and his ability to move this club forward. Declan Rice, who I won't talk about for too long because I think we know what he's about. His ability to recycle possession is fantastic. Him being that singular defensive midfielder, but also someone who can progress the ball. 3.75 progressive passes per 90, over 3 passes into the final third each game as well, which I think highlights that he is a very good passer of the football, as well as being that great box-to-box player that we saw last year. They're putting out fires and showing the physicality that he has as a big man who's got great stamina is one thing, but he's also shown that responsibility on the ball and that bravery on the ball. Enough about Declan Rice, because there's only one midfielder we really want to talk about, and it's Thomas Soucek. What a signing. And of course that signing happened in January, and you saw the immediate effects of it there as this team that was struggling for relegation. I remember going and seeing them play Liverpool and it looked like all was lost. I was thinking this team is an absolute mess. But he came into that midfield, he offers drive, he offers size and physicality. He doesn't offer that much creativity. That must be remembered. But those runs into the box and those goals. Last season, he scored 3 goals. The only other central midfielder to score over 1 goal throughout the whole season was Mark Noble. And 3 of those 4 were penalties. Soucek has been a revelation. His stats this season prove that as well. He's averaging a non-penalty goal per 90 of 0.33 this season, which puts him in the 99th percentile for central midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues. Yeah. In terms of the touches inside the attacking box, he's averaging 2.98 per game. This is for a guy supposedly playing as a sort of box-to-box / kind of defensive midfielder, but he's just allowed to bomb on. And I think, again, you've got to come back to David Moyes, because a lot of these goals, and every goal that he scored has been inside the box this season. That comes from being in the right place at the right time, both in open play or otherwise. He wins 5.68 aerial duels per 90, which again is in the 99th percentile. So he's one of, for a few of the key elements of the game, he's one of Europe's top 5 centre midfielders. These are facts, right? 3.48 clearances per 90, which is very high as well. Again, in the 99th percentile. So he is truly a unique player for what he offers. The best way that I can visualise how fantastic Thomas Soucek is and how David Moyes is just utilising the threat that he has is to look at heat maps of other attacking midfielders and just compare them with him. This is Bruno Fernandes's season heat map. Look at how much he's in the penalty box. A certain amount, a lot of penalties there, as we know. But this is Bruno Fernandes, okay? Probably the PFA Player of the Year. Let me know in the comments below. Should it be Soucek? But look at the heat map, okay? Now when we turn to Soucek's heat map, look how often this player is in the penalty box. And yeah, okay, let's look at the offensive side of it. He is getting in the box all the time, not just from corners, but from open play as well. And that's from a midfielder, which just makes him such a unique player, but also down the other end as well, which you can't underestimate. Just having another big body as someone who's supposedly getting a load of goals for you. If you put Bruno Fernandes back in the box, is he picking up the biggest man for the opposition? No, he's not. But Soucek is, highlighting how brilliant and how useful Soucek is to this West Ham team. Again, it's about that duality of these players. And again, you see that further down the line with the likes of Fornals and the pressures that he puts in per game. I think it's like 18, 19 pressures per game. Jared Bowen, you're getting the exact same thing with him. And Jared Bowen, I think the ceiling is even higher. And Jared Bowen, again, without trying to go on too much of a rant, these are the kind of players that West Ham have been crying for a long time. Players that are hungry, players that need to go and prove something, players with a high ceiling, players that don't just want to bounce on to the next club. And his conversion rate is 71%, which is exceptional. And I think what that highlights as well is, you're looking at this team and, of course, can they keep moving forward? Are these players that are over exceeding the expectations of what they're truly capable of? With someone like Jared Bowen, you've got a player that actually can do more, can score more. And so this isn't the end for West Ham. This is the start. And last but not least, we have to talk about Michail Antonio. Anyone who knows and is subscribed to this channel will know that I love Michail Antonio. And the reason I love him is, again, for the same reasons. This is a player that just because you come from the Championship doesn't mean you're not good enough. And you're seeing that with the likes of Jared Bowen and Antonio this season. He's been an absolute force. Since the restart of the Premier League last season, he's rediscovered himself as a striker, or at least he's actually been given the opportunity to become a striker. And for me, what's so amazing about Antonio is that he brings aspects of his abilities as a winger to the centre of the pitch. He's multifaceted in his approach, and what that means is that you end up having 12 players on the pitch, because you've got a player who can complete 2.6 dribbles per 90, which is exceptional for a player who's playing in the centre of the pitch. but he's also so strong and such a great focal point for the team as well, which allows West Ham to get up the pitch, but it also allows them to not have to overcommit players to create attacking opportunities. He's on the receiving end of progressive passes 10.62 times on average per 90. That highlights that he's available. He's making himself available, and then when he gets it, he's allowing the team to move up the pitch and then get himself in the box, allow Jared Bowen to get in the box. Probably more importantly, to allow players like Soucek to get into the box. Allow Cresswell to move up the pitch and be able to make those key passes. He really is so integral. And he takes up 2 centre-backs with his work rate and his physicality. They're concerned about him. So you're playing with 12 players, in my opinion, when Antonio is playing as a centre-forward. I think the reason that he's not done it up till now is a pure vanity project, which there are so many elements and sort of fables that can come from the players involved in this squad here. But I think Antonio is a fantastic one as well, because it was always there. You know, Antonio played on the right wing in that game against Burnley in 2018 when they lost 3-0. And that was a moment where fans were so enraged by the team's performances. And he was part of that. But once the vanity was lost and washed away, which you can always guarantee with David Moyes, Antonio goes and he sees the pure attributes of this player. A great touch. Yes, it doesn't look as pleasing on the eye as maybe an Arnautovic, but work rate, smart runs, smart hold-up play, selfless hold-up play, selfless runs. All those things come together, and David Moyes goes, well, let's put him up at centre. Should we put him up at centre-forward? Can he finish? Yeah, he can finish. Well, this is why hasn't he been playing up front? Vanity. That's why, and that's been the biggest problem for West Ham for a very long time. They finally got out of their own way with recruitment and with the management of it. Instead of looking for these shiny things up ahead, why don't you grow something? That's what David Moyes is doing right now, and that's why West Ham have become great again. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I'm really passionate about this idea of growing something, and it's okay for it to be made in steel, if you know what I mean. You know, it can be a little bit cautious, but if you can have little inches that allow you to kind of total up a team that is both effective in both boxes and has a little bit of quality as well, the likes of Ben Rama, Lanzini, Fornals, Bowen, exciting players as well. You've got a team that you can be really excited about, and a team that you can truly support if you're a West Ham fan, because you can trust that they're working hard. And that is all that West Ham fans have ever wanted from their club, and they've now finally got it. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do me 2 things. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get ourselves to 80k, and you can help me do that by clicking the button if you enjoy the content. Go check out the video how Aston Villa were made great again as well, and all the other content on the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.